Thanks so much for joining us today for Cosmic Conversations. This is our online discussion group about all things cosmic. It is March 22nd. We're excited to have you here. And we have a guest today. We'll be introducing ourselves, so you know who we are and who's helping facilitate the conversation. And then this is a conversation with all of us. You are welcome to ask questions, share experiences, um, wonder about things, talk about something you have no idea that you just heard a little about, like anything. You can give answers when other people ask questions. You can choose if you want to come up here on stage with us. Know that we're recording this and this is going to go on YouTube. You can talk about things from your chair in the audience. And if you want to talk about something totally confidentially, you can always write something in chat and let us know you want it confidential, and we will just talk about the topic and not about you. So, who wants to introduce themselves so we know who we are and everyone listening gets an idea of who we are and why we're here? When I say three of us usually do this together, and we sometimes have guests. Great.
Yep.
Crystal.
Hi, everyone. I'm Crystal Novak. I'm a psychic reader on my channel, and I also do energy work. Um, been doing this for almost 45 years, which I can hardly believe.
I know.
And also have a background where I was part of a meditative channeled study group for 35 years when we met once a week. So have a lot of knowledge in the Kabbalistic tradition, the tree of life, working with chakras, the seven rays, Hermetic doctrine. We also learned about meditating, how to clear your consciousness, how to pull false beliefs, because we create from our unconscious. And then learning about Hermetic doctrine and how that applies in our day-to-day world. So always interested to hear new stuff and learn new stuff. So thank you for being here, and I'll stop hogging the mic and let somebody else have a turn.
Thanks, Crystal.
Okay, I'll go. Hi, everybody. I'm Kai. I'm a Hawaiian Kahuna, which is the Hawaiian version of a shaman. I do a lot of energy work, energy healing, and as far as how long I've been doing this, it's a really long time, according to my mother, because I started when I was an infant. So weird, paranormal, been there, done that. Ask me any question, and I'm happy to tell you what I know. I really am happy to be here for Cosmic Conversations because I always learn stuff, and hopefully, what I know can help you in some way as well. So, if you have questions, please ask them. It doesn't matter how weird it is, or even if you can't. Sometimes we get a thing where, like, I don't even know how to ask this. Just do your best because, kind of psychic, um, we might be able to figure it out. So please ask your questions. Yeah, exactly. And we're just here to have some fun.
Yeah.
You know, this is not a structured thing where you have to do this or there's expectations or whatever. Just be yourself, ask your questions, and just let's just have some fun. Let's just see what we get.
Good. All right, I guess that means me. I'm Alethea Devi. I'm a post-tribal shaman, and I also work with energy and been doing this for since the Ice Age, it feels like. We all have such long lives of experience, and it doesn't seem odd to us because this is how we are. This is our essence of our being. As a professional, I work as a spiritual counselor, and I work with women who are just fed up with going along with the culture expectations and want to define themselves and live their life on their own terms. So, which means if you're also experiencing and developing your intuition as you're a highly sensitive person or empathic, some of this can just be totally overwhelming. And this is why we need to have more conversations like this. Mm-hmm. It gives you the perfect opportunity to help you sort out what may be going on in your world. And I look forward to any conversation that we have. And I'm excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Mm-hmm. Happy to have you here. And I'm Laureli Shimayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader, body psychology coach, matchmaker. I read your eyes, read your body, read your soul, aim to read your presence of how you are now and help you navigate lessons and align yourself with your purpose. So you're living your purpose in the world. I'm excited to be here for Cosmic Conversations. Amazingly, we've been doing this for over a year, and it's always great fun. It's fun to see what we discuss and all the different perspectives. And this is the chance for me to participate in the conversation where usually I'm running a fair and I occasionally will stumble upon Crystal and Kai having a deep conversation that I want to be part of. So this is an opportunity for us to do it with me and all of you. So excited to be here. And yeah, let's jump in. And our contact info is in the chat if you want to reach out to any of us. And yeah. Alethea, if you want to tell anyone about a special or anything like that, if you want to give me the notes, I'm happy to put it in the chat too, and I'll post it a few times.
Okay.
So yeah, if you want to offer anything to people working with you after this. All right. Yeah, so we have no agenda. We're here to talk about whatever you want to talk about. If you all don't bring something, we'll bring something. But we're
The
here for
universe
anything.
will.
Yeah, does anybody have any questions or anything? They're just like, what the heck is that? Anything like that? Just to start us off.
Anything you've experienced and don't know as much about, or just want another perspective on, or something you heard about, or
You want to tell us some weird story?
we're game.
Got some of those.
Oh, we have hours worth of weird stories.
Definitely.
Okay, well, Alethea, since you're the guest.
Weird story.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, Alina.
Yes, I can add a weird story to the conversation. I'm raising a teenager, and a couple of weeks ago, we had a tornado siren go off in the middle of the night. She was not asleep. She was in bed, but she wasn't sleeping. And when we all went to the basement, she said, I felt my hair on my arms stand up about 5 minutes before the sirens went up. And she said, I thought it would be thunder. I was like, do you get that before thunders usually? And she's like, yeah, sometimes I'll have my hair stand up on my arms. And then it starts thundering. And I thought it would be thunder, but then it was a tornado siren. I mean, okay, I've seen people sensitive to weather when their old wound hurts or, back hurts or something, but they're standing up. For me, it was very different type of weather sensitivity.
Okay,
I'm
so
not sure what to make out of it. I just said, like, make notes of that in the future.
Okay. So your connection's not the greatest, but from what I can tell, it's like you're basically saying that there was a teenager that you met that before the tornado went off, like the hair on her arm stood up. Is that right?
Yeah, that teenager's my daughter.
Okay. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, I've not heard of anybody reacting to weather that way, but then I mean, I don't, but I've never lived in any place where the weather can turn that quickly. So I don't know if that's just like an instinct or a response that triggers because of where you physically are. But I have heard people who live in areas that are like prone to earthquakes like California and Japan that they kind of get a sense of when it's going to happen before, and sometimes it's in different ways like that. But I mean, so it kind of makes sense because animals react to it, when the change is about to happen or whatever. So it makes sense that some people are more sensitive to others for that sort of thing. But yeah, I've never experienced anything like that. I mean, like when I was here, when there was like here in Washington State, when there was like the big earthquake, I forget what year it was. I was at home. I had no clue. The cats were like under the couch and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, what's going on? And the next thing you know, like the whole house is shaking. I'm like, so clearly I do not have that instinct, but like it worked on the cats. And I know some horses were very nervous prior to, so, but it makes sense that some people would be more sensitive to that. But that's cool though. I mean, that's kind of good though, because you should be like, Mom, the hair is standing up on my arm. You're like, get to the shelter.
Well, the quality of the air definitely changes.
I did ask her
stillness.
to make notes of that. Yeah.
I think before tornado, there's a stillness and there's an electrical change in the air. Like it's very.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been through a tornado, so I wouldn't know. Because I mean, I've been through 2 hurricanes.
Maybe,
and didn't get that.
static electricity.
It
Maybe.
changes, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Anybody else?
So the person that just joined us, thanks for joining us for Cosmic Conversations. We are here for general conversation on all kinds of cosmic stuff. So if you have questions, answers, stories you want to share, anything like that, please feel free to jump in. There's a prize if you want personal support from us. We're happy to do that. We know we have one person that wants that today. And yeah, please be here to participate. That's what we'd love to hear from you. So we're just, if anyone has any stories or topics or anything you want to share, go ahead.
I would like to hear a story from Alethea.
Okay. Well, I just got back from a week-long silent retreat, and it was so delicious. Delicious in the way, meaning from an earth plane point of view, you get up in the morning, you do your practice, and then you go and have some breakfast, and then you go back to your room and you do some practice, and then you go to your lunch, and then you go back to your room and do some practice, and then you go and have dinner, and then you go back to your room and have some practice, and then go to bed. That's pretty much your schedule. But during that, I'm diving deeper and deeper and deeper. And the reason why is because I want to clear away any old thinking patterns that has kept me stuck. We live in a very busy world. Obviously, I don't have to go into how busy that is, but between the media and internet and so much around us that's happening in our culture, as sensitive people, as empathic people, we get so bombarded and so overwhelmed, and it taxes our nervous system. So when people come to me and they say, I just don't know, I can't settle down, I can't sleep, it's like you literally need a time out, and a prolonged time out, so your mind can settle down and your nervous system can rest. So because all four of us work with energy, our thoughts tell energy what to do, and our worries tell the energy to be dense in our system. And so it also affects our physical body, our muscles. And so our anxieties and worries are kept in our bodies and work their way into our muscles. And so that's why we love to soak in a hot tub. But that just takes the edge off. When you take a longer period of time to check out from your regular routine, it is gold. It is what we need to do more often to remove ourselves from the noisy culture that we live in. So I strongly recommend everyone have that at least twice a year. Silent retreat. This was a silent retreat. Me and 15 other women. We did not look at each other. We ate in complete silence. I walked around the lake and in the forest. And so for me, it's restorative. I would not be as sharp to offer my best work with people if I didn't have this. It is something I must have to sustain myself and to be able to offer my heart in service to the world. So anybody have any questions about that, and maybe even share some experiences of their own timeouts, their own retreat times away. Camping can be camping, hiking, even if it's just for a day. But I so recommend at least a week, twice a year. Or more.
How about we talk too about those of us that are phobic of such things?
What now?
Said, how about if we talk too about those of us that are phobic of such things?
Or taking time off, or
it just
all
leaves
of the
you in
above.
your mind, and then your mind starts to get really edgy, and so you end up meeting self in a lot of different ways.
That's why we need practices, because just without the practices, your mind will just wander, and then it'll go to your worries and your anxieties of what the future may hold or judgments as to what you did in the past. So when I have a practice, I have trained my mind to train my body to relax when I have.
And I can do that, and I do some of that, and I used to
Yeah.
run a whole bunch of things like that, and I don't do those now. But I don't do long stretches of time. Don't ever do long stretches of time. I'm not saying it wouldn't be good for me. I just don't do that.
Yeah, it's okay. It's whatever everybody needs, really.
No.
And however you're going to do it,
Mhm.
you know.
I just want space for all the people that are phobic about this too, or avoid it or anything, because like I'm one of those people. So I just want space for all this here.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been on a real retreat for years. I mean, when I was in Catholic school, they made us go, and you'd be at some monastery somewhere, and like, yeah, it's like, oh, like very little talking. It wasn't silent, but it was like very little talking, and like you were supposed to contemplate things and blah blah blah. And I'm like, I'm a teenager. Like I'm thinking about when's the next time I can go to the mall. I'm not I'm not contemplating, the meaning of life kind of stuff. Like I was like literally 16. I'm like, I'm thinking about like those pair of shoes I wanted to buy or, whatever. So I'm just like, maybe this wasn't a good time for that.
Yeah. This is interesting to think about, and this is a different topic, but I just what we reach like as teenagers.
What
Because
now?
maybe we were all, well,
When
I
would
want
you
to come
say?
back to this maybe, what we all were like as teenagers. Because
Oish.
maybe it's kind of interesting that so many of us, maybe not all of us, but some of us were just ordinary teenagers and we still
No,
developed this way.
no,
No.
no, no.
Yeah, there's nothing ordinary about me. I was always the weird kid, always yeah, and I was thinking about this because this thing that I was watching, it's like this guy talked about um like these three things about like how you do things as a child. And let's see if I wrote them down here. Um, yeah, he talked about like it's called a childhood development triangle, like friendship, safety, and rewards. Like for friendships, like how did you make and keep friends? Secondly, what did you have to do to be safe? And what did you feel you had to do for rewards? And what was the reward? And for some people, like in order to gain or make friends, like you would let people run over your boundaries, which is what I did. And, safety, it was like be as small as you possibly can and be as invisible as you possibly can. That's what would keep you safe. And the reward was, for me, I remember one of the things when I was a kid that I was like, everything had to be as perfect as I could make it.
Mm, mm.
So like my handwriting was perfect to the point like I won awards for that because it was so perfect. When I turned in my book reports and stuff like that, like there was not a single mistake on the page. Sometimes you write and you just scratch something out and you just keep going. Never happened. Like if I made a mistake, I would literally start over, clean sheet of paper so that it was absolutely perfect. And I also had this thing where I pressed so hard on the paper that literally it curled. My handwriting was so perfect and it curled. And that's how I handed in my stuff.
Wow.
And this was back before typewriters and computers. Like I handwritten everything, every single report. It didn't matter if it was like 1 page, 5 page, 10 pages, 20 pages. Every single page was perfect. And I
And
was at some point, I'm like, why am I doing this?
yeah.
And it was because like that was like people would be like, oh, your papers are so great and blah blah blah. I mean, even now, like when I sign things, when I physically sign stuff, they're like, oh my God, you have such nice handwriting. And I'm like, oh, reinforcement.
Ah,
So yeah, it's interesting to think about when you know because you don't think about that kind of stuff, right? And I was like, huh, yeah. So as a teenager, I was the weird kid who could see stuff, hear stuff. Never talked about that stuff though. I did my best to just be normal. I needed to be normal. Normal was my thing. And that's why I had to be like perfect on everything.
But the people around you weren't perfect too, so you stood out that way also, right?
Well, and that was part of the reward though, right? Because if I was the smartest kid, like if I had everything perfect, then people would be like, "Oh my gosh, you're so good at that." I'm like, "Yeah, thanks." That was my reward kind of thing, not understanding that like, did I really care about that? No. So by the time I got to high school, it was that lessened for me. And it actually used to piss off like one of my classmates because she was like the valedictorian and she worked really hard, like studied all the time. And she got pissed off at me because like I hardly ever studied and I my grades are almost as good as hers. And she was like, I hate you.
Oh my
I'm like,
God.
sorry. So it was really in high school that I was like, I don't care what people think. And I just started to whatever. But yeah, I was always the odd kid who was like, don't sit there, be careful, like, don't talk, don't say anything, like, don't, all that. Yeah, there's nothing normal about me. Not a thing.
I was the person that people that were not normal came to for some reason. They were always attracted to me. I didn't know if I had anything special because my life was just miserable in high school. But I did, as a child, I would always go up in a tree and read books. That was my safe place. And they weren't deep books. They were just like, when I was really young, like Nancy Drew mystery and, and novels. I don't think romance, but yeah. But when I got older, I don't think I felt safe anywhere. Yeah.
But you have
Just
a big
felt
heart. I was just saying, I
Yeah.
think you have a big heart, and I think people felt your big heart, and that's why you were the place people came.
And my handwriting is so bad that my high school writing teacher told me I must type every one. And if I have to write, I have to write on every other line because she can't read it to save her life. And that was when I was doing my best. So don't ask me. I'm a defective Virgo.
Oh,
And it's still bad. So,
well, do you think in some way that you listened to other people and had more space for them as a way of having friends, or it's just a natural
yes,
thing and you just did
I
it?
hated that people looked down on people that were not so-called normal, even though my superficial side wanted to be accepted by everybody, but I couldn't because I didn't know how to be like they were. I didn't really like it. I figured that out after I left home. I didn't really like how they were, but yeah, people just, it has happened many times, but it was first noticeable to me in high school when, people that were gay or politically active at that time as the Vietnam War, or just people that were really shy, didn't were afraid to talk to anybody or have any kind of relationship. They would talk to me. So, yeah. And I don't think I knew crap to help them, but I did give them attention.
That's good. So I'm curious about like when did everybody notice they're that you weren't just odd, but you were kind of gifted, if that makes sense?
Well, gifted in a metaphysical sense or just gifted in other
Yeah.
things?
Yeah, because like, because we've all met people this is like, well, that person's just weird. And that person has like abilities. You know what I mean? So at what point did you realize that you were not like just weird, that you actually had abilities?
Oh,
Well,
well, I don't know that I looked at them as abilities because when I was young, I used to see things like spirits and stuff, but I had no one to talk to. I had demons flying around my night light when the light, even with the light on, and there was so much, and I had these really deep dreams, that were just incredible. And I didn't tell anybody anything because no one else was talking about any of that. I used to sit in the backyard, and my meditation, I remember, was I would sit in the dirt and I would just start digging. And I was thinking, I'm going to dig to China eventually, because they always say you should dig to China. Or I'd sit up in the fruit tree. But, and I remember saying, well, I'm just not normal. That's it. I don't know what it is, but I had no one that I knew at all to talk to. So I tried to just block it out and not deal with it for a long, long, long time. Besides, when I found out things like that, I didn't want the responsibility that came with it. So, yeah, yes, I had to couldn't take care of myself, much less someone else. Yeah, so that's basically what I remember. And I always had a guardian angel that I wasn't aware of that would keep me out of trouble if I would do something stupid twice. She's like whisper in my left ear, no, don't do it again, because then you're going to get screwed. So that was always the case. And I did a lot of really stupid things in my post high school period after my dad died, and I went kind of crazy for a few years. But every time I get to that spot, I knew it was a her. I didn't see anybody, but I knew she was there. And now I've learned to listen to her and not be well, I had to listen to her then, though. I did believe that I had to listen, like couldn't hitchhike the third time. It was it was like that kind of happened.
You
Yeah,
could
not
sense
a
the
good
risk
idea.
enough. Yeah, you could sense the risk enough with something.
Yeah, it just
Yeah.
no, okay. Do something else stupid, but not that.
I was pretty normal. I grew up in the San Fernando Valley during the 80s, and I tried to be a Valley girl. I was not very good at it, no surprise in hindsight. But yeah, so
I
I tried to
can't
fit in.
imagine that.
Oh gosh, I worked in a mall, and I used to wear lots of makeup, and oh yeah, I was miserable. I used to talk like a Valley girl,
Oh
and
my God.
yeah, I didn't have my first. I didn't have my first strong claircognizance stuff until like my first awareness now going back was maybe 18 when I was first in college. I had some strong, like, I just know this, like, I know this is true, like, I need to live this way. And then, but I even, like, I was learning my eye reading work in my 40, I was around 40, but I didn't know that it was a metaphysical gift. I didn't know that until I moved to Portland, which is when all these fairs started. So I was really slow to realize that I had anything that was unusual. I knew I was quirky and weird. I got that, and that I didn't fit in. I didn't know I was autistic, for so long. So that was like part of how I was weird. But oh yeah, I looked pretty normal at first, but I got that I was smarter than other people and like could figure stuff out. But yeah.
Wow. Thank you.
So I had an invisible friend whose name was Arky, which later on I realized was Archangel. And so I would ride my tricycle, but to me it was a motorcycle. So me and Arky were always riding our motorcycles up and down the block.
Wow.
It's cool, man. And then I was a bluebird, which is the equivalent is like a brownie for Girl Scouts. And our den mother's, her daughter in our group, it was her birthday. So we all got invited to her birthday party. So I think I was about 7. Anyway, so she's unwrapping her presents. We're all sitting there. So she gets a box and she unwraps it and there's another box. And then she unwraps it and there's another box. And she gets down to the last box and I just blurt out, "It's a silver dollar." And it was a silver dollar. I got, how you look at people and you watch their face go like all these different changes and you can tell all these different emotions going across their face. Well, her mom looked at me like, "How in the F did you know that?" And then it went to being mad because I ruined the surprise. And then it went to being like, "You're really weird and I don't think I like you anymore." And it was just bizarre. So yeah, I was already kind of knowing stuff before then, but that was out of the closet at that point. So, and I didn't know that that was unusual. I
How
mean,
old
you're
were
a
you
kid,
with that? About
you're
how
a
old?
kid, you don't know.
About how old were you when that happened?
Probably 7, close to 7.
Mm.
Um, and then I just always was knowing stuff about other people, but I didn't share it because it would freak them out. And because then they're like, well, how do you know that? And it's like, I don't know, I just know it. And then they're freaked out because what I was sharing is like, how would I possibly know that? So then they would get worried, like I was going to know stuff that they didn't want anybody to know, or it's like looking behind the mask and nobody was comfortable with that. So I mostly use my abilities at home just to like stay safe. And then I didn't do much with any of it until after I got out of high school. And then definitely it stepped up after that. But that silver dollar thing, that and being a new kid in junior high, because my family moved a lot and we were in history class and the teacher, everybody was half asleep and the teacher asked a question about something and I, again, just drops in my head. Oh, it's the Northwest Passage. And everybody, like their heads are all in a swivel. How do you know that? I don't know. I just live here. These things just drop in my head. So after that, it's like, oh, you're a new kid. Now you're even more weird because you knew things and you answered in class. Yeah. So yeah, it wasn't always smooth sailing.
I guess maybe one more thing I realized as you're talking, when I was around 7-ish, 7, 8,
How
I did
about
some
your
pretty intense energy shielding of myself, but I didn't know that I was doing that. It was only just recently I realized that's what I did back then.
what
So
about your Barbie story when you were
oh, my
playing the
Barbie
ball?
story. Oh yeah, but I think of this as normal. That's right. So I'm somewhere around 7 or 8, and I had a Barbie townhouse and played with my Barbies. And I remember one day I had this, oh no, what if I'm a Barbie in someone else's townhouse? Like, oh shit. So
Gosh. Ah.
Yeah,
so I
I
guess
mean,
that's like a big spiritual thought in a little mind, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So I'm still realizing the ways that I was different and saw stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I guess it's weird because, like, I was really good in school, and after a while, they moved me to a special class for gifted kids, which I hated because they took me away from all my friends.
Yeah.
And these are people that came from all different schools. And in retrospect, I'm pretty sure they had some dysfunctional families too, which mine was too. But I was always lacking the ability to, like, say, get jokes, to figure things out what people were trying to say, which allowed me to also get abused, because they knew they could tease me because I'd never know what they were talking about,
Yeah. Sorry.
and that I would cry, but it was very weird because I was very smart mentally, and I still, I mean, maybe it's ADHD or whatever they would do. I never had any obvious diagnosis, but I could just study like you were talking about, Kai. If there was like a big term paper that had to be done, I would go to the library the day before and get the books that were on it, and I would get an A or maybe an A plus on my paper, and I wouldn't remember even what I wrote it about, or where the information came from. That thing that would happen to me. And I guess my whole life is basically like intuition because I'm a terrible student. I have a lot of trouble studying things unless I'm with other people where I can bounce it off of them, But yeah, thanks it's really interesting to think about that now. Yeah. I actually decided after a while I didn't want to be known as a smart person, so I started doing worse in school.
Yeah. Some people do that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't want to stand out that way. I realized too, like in college, sitting in the front of a science class, I was sitting with a friend, and some of the things that she said about her mother, I realized sitting there that her mom probably had schizophrenia, and sure enough, her mom had schizophrenia, and I saw some of the behaviors in my friend. So even though I hadn't actually done much with psychology at that point, just growing up in my family and the ways that I got aware, but yeah, so picking up things about people from a psychological, emotional way, like, you know, with a pretty big distance, just hearing a few sentences about my friend's mom. So there's some of my abilities about that were there.
Mhm.
I had a real close relationship with my dad. Both my parents, I think, had psychic abilities, but my dad was a soldier during the Second World War when they were bombing the crap out of Italy. He was 19, 20 years old. And, PTSD, we don't think about PTSD with war veterans from that age. But what haunted him And he didn't tell me till I was much older. What haunted him his whole life was him recalling hearing the voices of the dead as he was walking through the city.
Ah.
And I said, Dad, you know what that is? He says, yeah, I'm losing my mind. So it really is how at the time the culture sees and views these capacities. So I would like to offer a reframe is that being the oddball is actually our superpower because then we're not average. We are above average and whatever average is. We're more than that. When I was in high school, I really had a lot of disdain about what I saw was just the general population in my high school. And then I was gregarious. I'm an Aquarius. And so talking to a lot of people, but my closest friends were the oddballs, right? And all of you, we would have had our own little group. You all would have been my friends in high school. And so even to this day, I sort of hide and shield myself a little bit. And my closest friends are just a small number of people, maybe 10 or so that actually really totally know me. But I know hundreds of people just in my circulation of life in general. But it's like how much of ourselves do we share? And it's not self-protection, but it's also how much are other people ready to talk about the weird topics of our capacities as a human being of sensing things, as feeling things, as knowing things that are still in question. It's like, how does she know that? How does she feel that? How does that happen? Because it's all questioned from a black and white thinking perspective. So I just think those are all our superpowers.
Can you say a little bit more, Alethea, about what you were like? You said that you were friends with all of the more unusual people. Like say more about you. I'd love to hear more.
Yes. So I played in band in high school. I played in band and I excelled at music because I loved music, singing and playing music. And so the weird guy with the long hair and the mustache who would be kind of off in the corner, writing down, transposing all of our music because he would hear it in his head. And or the guy with multiple sclerosis, or the guy that everybody teased because he had a limp, and his name was Larry, and he was brilliant. He was brilliant, and no one took time to really get to know him as a person. He was brilliant. It just really taught me a lot about how the divine shows up in so many variations. So yeah, I still have a lot of friends, but my closest circle of friends, I think maybe this is true for all people like us, my closest circle of friends of maybe 5, and they're mostly women.
No, when you said 10, I've never had 10 friends at once ever.
Yeah, okay.
So
That's a lot. That's a lot.
I usually have one if I'm lucky, or two.
Who really know your heart, who really know
Yes.
your history,
So I don't
who know
have to
who you
worry
work,
about
how you work inside. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've never achieved the ability to remain part of a group. No matter how much I like them and things that are happening there, I either outgrow them or I'm too persnickety about things, the little things that irritate me. So although Kai has informed me that I'm not alone, a lot of the time I feel alone. Yeah. So here I am.
That's why we have these conversations. You're
Yes.
not alone, Terry. A lot of us feel like you.
Thanks. But I haven't taken up the practitioner part. Maybe I'll be 85 when I do that. We'll see. but I do, you know, wherever I go, because what you, Alethea, probably don't know is that one of my several jobs is selling bamboo sheets in Costco's for 10 days at a time. So I talk to people for 100 hours in 10 days, hundreds of people. And I do really well with that because I can, especially with the help of Kai, I've become very calm and welcoming, you know, and people want to talk to me and they want to hang around and talk to me. But I rarely feel like it's somebody I want to see again. It's like I'm doing my job for somebody that needs something now or really just enjoys that, you know, that welcoming now. Maybe buy sheets too. But I don't know. I feel and right now my cousin is my only family and she's moving away. So it's a puzzle to me where I fit.
Time
Does
to
anybody else? Oh, I'm
What
sorry.
I would just say that I don't want to be anybody other than who I am. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Any other stories
Does
from the
anybody?
audience? Anyone else want to share what they were like when they were younger?
Yeah. Or when you figured out that you had abilities or you had gifts, or you're just like, wait, what is that?
I will say that when I was 16, so I was very much involved in Unity Church. My dad later became a Unity minister. So it is Christian based, but it has a perspective of you are not born in sin, you are born in love. You co create your world, your life, your consciousness. So at 16, I did pledge my heart to the divine presence to live a spiritual life. And I just put myself on that path. And from then on, I just said yes, constantly yes, with a discernment, but also not to block myself off to a path that could expand me, that I could learn something from, or some important teacher that I would meet. And that has served me for my whole entire life.
Bravo.
Okay, so this brings up a question. The Because of that, your kind of commitment or whatever, like, did that interfere in any way with the training that you decided to do it when you get into the shamanic practices? Because you're Peruvian, right? Is your tradition that you work in?
Yes, yes.
Oh.
So how did that like cause any conflicts for you, or how did that work?
My operating motto is what gets me close, feeling close to God. God can be multiple names, Allah, the cosmos, any of that. What gets me feeling in unity with that presence? And so it all dovetails together. How my upbringing in unity. I'm also practicing Sufi as a Mevlevi and Rohaniat, dances of universal peace. Okay, and Mevlevi is the whirling dervishes. Um, I'm a practicing pagan, as well as trained and initiated in the shamanic tradition of the Andes and the Amazon jungle. It is different parts of a larger puzzle that I consciously integrate together is what gets me close to feeling in unity with the divine. That's kind of my operating. It does not collide at all because I intentionally chose those traditions. Think of it more like a braiding them together. So I would dive, oh yeah, and we have to think of Native American traditions from North America. Interspiritual is the key word that I often use with my offerings, is many paths to connect into the divine presence, many ways to get there. Some use your heart and your head, some use your head and your whole entire body sensing. We're thinking in the Enneagram, there's the sensing numbers, there's the intellect oriented numbers, there's the emotional oriented numbers of those personality types. For me, as an interspiritual, I want all three of those aspects to be experienced. And so that's such a good question. There was never any conflict because I consciously chose them for their qualities of how they reinforced each other and integrated together. That's a really good question.
Yeah.
With conscious choices. Good question.
Because I just wondered about that, because I mean, sometimes when you embrace different types of, I guess, practices that are outside, like typically considered outside standard Christianity, then sometimes you come across like these weird little dichotomies that you can run into. So I'm just like, I mean, like I haven't run into any because, my particular culture, it's like, we have room for things. Like we don't have a exclusive policy, I guess you could say, about it's either this or that. We don't like, just in general, Hawaiians don't work that way. And so, and I know that, even though there's certain traditions that you handle in a certain way and there's certain things that you have to perform as part of different things or whatever, but it's like in combining different things, like sometimes people can come across like, well, for this, if I follow this tradition, I have to do it this way. If I follow this tradition, I have to do it this way. And for some people, like it's very difficult because they feel like they're in that either or position. And, and then they end up like either not doing anything and just abandoning stuff altogether, or they kind of limit themselves to one thing because they feel like they should, and then there's that missing out on something else kind of thing. So I just wondered, for you, like if you encountered any of that with some of the stuff that you do, because I mean other people have mentioned it to me, just like, well, I was this and now I'm this, and I'm like, well, why couldn't you have aspects of both?
Yes.
We have a lot of this black and white thinking in a lot of ways.
Yes.
And so yeah, I just wondered if you had encountered any of that in what you chose to do, or what aspects you chose to take on, and if there was any, like how you resolve that if you did. Yeah, because that's not something that I normally have to deal with.
This is really good. Excellent question. In my being, there is no conflict. It doesn't mean it never arose with my teachers. There is a huge value to choose a path and dive deeply into that path and know that tradition through and through and integrate it into your being and go as deep as you can, learn as much as you can. And then when you're exposed to another tradition, you will see similarities. You say, I recognize this spiritual foundation. I understand what this is. Then there's human-made belief systems that's built on top of that. So when I run into a teacher that says, you have to do this and this and this and this, I do it for a while to gain the experience and the foundation of the spiritual foundation experience. And it has its cycle and comes to a completion. That's such a good question as I'm pondering upon this. If I'm looking at life through an interspiritual lens, again, I say one reality, which is unity with all consciousness that permeates and activates all matter, seen and unseen, and many ways to experience and understand that. That's where I'm working from. I have worked with Indigenous elders here in North America, and like OBOD. So I was a member of OBOD, which is the Order of Bards, Obates, and Druids. And I was asked to commit only to that path. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to do that, mostly because of its restriction. And I said, the divine, in my experience, has no restriction. Humans make restrictions. Again, though, it is important, if you do choose a path, to go as deep as you can, explore it, integrate it into your being. And so for me, my path was something I was creating along the way, learning different ways to experience my unity with the greater consciousness. And so, again, kind of goes with our theme, what were you like as a kid? And I was the secret oddball. You wouldn't notice, you wouldn't think that, because I was kind of I was in band and I was loud and laughed a lot, got kicked out of the library for laughing too loud, and having fun. But everybody was so damn shallow in my high school. And a 15-year anniversary of a reunion, it's like all the people I really wanted to see weren't going. So why would I even bother? So that's Kai, thank you for asking that question. I am not proposing you flit from one tradition to another and to another to another, like you're sorting through a candy dish. I'll try this treat and then I'll try that treat. That is not from my head. I do not follow my head. It's like, where does spirit direct me to go now? That's my compass.
The part of what you said too is, like, if I study with a teacher, I take their ideas and I play with their ideas and I see where that goes. And I go, like, if I find value there, I go in deeply.
Yeah. Yes.
And then I study another, that you're saying the threads and the similarity and the themes, but they have a particular thing. And, someone asked for something that doesn't feel good to me to commit to, but I pick up and learn what I can. And so I weave together, what feels like my best awareness from the exposure of all these things.
Because as a Sufi, Sufism, which was the mystic tradition before the arrival of Islam, and when Islam spread, it took into all the Sufis. We pray in Turkish and Arabic, and we're talking about Muhammad, and as one of the many teachers bringing a portion of the larger message of truth. And yet there's also the pagan part of me who likes to dance topless around the fire. Yes, but in a Sufi tradition, obviously you're not going to be dancing topless. You're going to be adorning yourself, because we just finished Ramadan. You're going to be adorning yourself. So it's like diving into that cultural context to see really where that magic is. And looking at life through their eyes and experiencing connection with their practices. I can go to a Catholic church or a mosque or a temple or a synagogue and feel connected to the divine. And it doesn't even have to be that, obviously, a grove of trees, sit by the water, play in the waves, to feel the divine. In my heart of hearts, I am an earth baby that the divine speaks to me through her elements, through her trees, her animals, the fire, the water. I have conversations with the ocean. That to me is beyond religion per se, but as a embodied experience.
The woman who channeled the Ascended Master for our group, there ended up being a guy in our group who had a YouTube channel, was making videos about different stuff. And so he interviewed Ruth while she was channeling. And one of the questions he asked him, was, what's the most important thing that you would say that we could do? And he said to listen. And I always think about that, because listen to myself, listen to other people, listen to the wind, listen to the trees, listen to the earth, listen to the sky, listen to the dark, listen to the light. And not, and some people have conversations where they're just waiting for the person to stop so that they could say what they want to say. It's not like that. It's giving that other person or that situation your full attention. And where does that land with me? Where does that take me? What's a message here for me that, because I'm stopping to listen, that maybe I wouldn't have heard? So that's what came to mind when you were sharing about you're connecting to different ways of dealing with the divine. And there's just so many avenues. And I have just found that my path was always there. I just didn't realize it until I got a lot older and turned and looked back and went, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. It's like I made a commitment then, I made a commitment then, I made a commitment then, even though it wasn't like a contract. It was just like, yes, I'm going that direction. I'm going that direction. No, I'm going that direction. It's like an internal compass.
Mm-hmm.
And you can feel the calling, you can feel the pull, you can feel the nudge. It's like, here it is, here it is. And for anybody in the audience, especially if you're just like coming into your talents or have been having experiences, it's like when you are listening like that, you create this alignment within yourself, with your higher self and with your human self. And you just follow that and let it lead you. And it's not easy to explain, but if you've experienced it, then you know what I'm talking about. And yeah, I've gotten offers, if you will, from other groups. And like, no, you want me to swear fealty without ever being able to ask questions, so that's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, blind obedience. That's not me. Not by a long shot. But where I am and what I adhere to and what I follow and what I believe is in alignment with my heart, with who I am. And I think part of being alive is shedding all that other stuff that we get dumped on or told or whatever, to get back to what's the real me. And that's continually growing and shifting and opening. So it's not, your path is never over. You're still doing stuff till the day you check out. And that even probably continues as well. So
Yeah, I think it's important in doing this kind of work is that we always remain open, because I think that that's when the minute that you've decided that you're gonna like exclude things or whatever, then that kind of closes us down a little bit more. But at the same time, I also think it's important for discernment, because sometimes when people do this work, they open so wide that they don't question anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they get into a process, or they meet people who are like, oh, you must do it this way, or this is the only way to do it, that's when they get into trouble, because they don't engage their discernment in that. So and I think that's the whole point. I think is what one of the important points to take away from this is that you are in control of this process.
Mhm.
You have your own power in this process. Like you're just all the decisions are yours to make. Don't let anybody else make them for you.
Yeah.
And to a certain degree, as we've been talking, I'm thinking, I mean, like, I started it off with like, yeah, I've always been the weird kid, but in some sense, I'm also a little bit of a rebel because I've always been, I know you're shocked, Crystal,
Am.
but
I
um,
am.
I mean, but I never viewed myself that way. It was always like, well, I don't really want to go that way, so I guess I'm going this way. So it was like, it's almost like I kind of functioned as if it was like a default setting, not realizing that I was actually like forging my own path. And I
Mhm.
think everybody who are kind of in the metaphysical realm, in the spiritual realm, like this is what you're doing. Like you're literally carving your own path. And it's going to look different from what somebody else does. And sometimes we walk with people because we're kind of going in the same direction, and at some point you veer off, and that's what happens.
Mhm.
um and you need to be okay with that, because it's not, like every person's journey is their own, and sometimes paths diverge, and then sometimes they come back together, sometimes they don't. But um that's just how things are, and we need to follow things however we feel like we need to. So if your instinct or your heart is telling you to go one way, then go that way. um that doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong. It just means that there's a lesson there, and do the lesson and then figure out where you want to go from there. It's an ever changing thing.
Mhm.
But I also feel that it's this weird place that we have to be in, where we're still open but we're also paying attention, so that we don't inadvertently get swept up in whatever it is. Because yeah, people have their traditions and it's really, really important to them, and they're like, you must do it this way. I always tell people, if anybody tells me I must do something, I'm going the other way. Because I'm like, I don't have to do anything. Have a nice day. you know and so if you ever feel like someone, but then at the same time, like I also tell people, like if you're following a particular tradition. So for instance, if somebody was going in for like traditional Kahuna training, I'm like, do what they say,
Mhm.
because it's a process
Mhm.
that works. It doesn't need to be fixed
Mhm.
if this is what you want to do,
Mm.
right? And once you've figured out what that process is from start to finish, then at that point, once you are completely on your own, you can decide what of that actually works for you, and if you need to make modifications for you.
Mhm.
um or if you're not going to, because some people are like, no, it's not broken, I'm not going to fix it, I'm just gonna, that's the ritual, I can handle that. But it's a distinction that you make, it's a decision that you make. It's not a default setting. Like none of this, the spiritual journey, I think anybody should do on default. Make
Correct.
a decision.
Yeah.
Make a choice, make a decision. Even if it's wrong, that's okay. Make another choice. It's
Mhm.
not it's not a tragedy. But remember that you have a choice. Because I hear this like, well, what can I do? I don't know what to do. It's like, figure out what your first off, calm down, take a breath,
Yeah.
and then figure out what your choices are. And if you don't know what your choices are, ask somebody. That's what people are for.
But
And
to that,
then,
if you don't have a clear yes, ask for more choices.
yeah, ask for more choices, ask for, like, I mean, I've had people who are like, I didn't know what the answer is. And I said, well, okay, who can I ask? And then they're like, and then I heard your name. And I'm like, okay, well, great.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So it's like, sometimes it's not, the answer is not always like, give me the answer. It's like, help me find the answer.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So
And
don't be afraid to do that.
yeah, and that's what makes a good coach or counselor.
Well, yeah, because you have to have the experience. You can't take someone where you haven't been, and you can't give what you don't have.
Yeah.
And even if you make that choice and you try whatever's on, you go, oh, I guess that wasn't for me. That's okay. You learned something that wasn't for you. It doesn't mean you did anything wrong. Um, it's I mean, we're on a journey. We're not on a destination. We're on a journey. And there's so much to see and experience on that journey. I always think of like Google Maps on my phone for going somewhere. It's like, here's the fastest route to get there. But if I look at it, there could be 5 other different ways I could get to that spot. They all get me to that spot. It's like, which one is the most optimal for me at that particular point in time? And maybe I want to go on the back road. It's mid-spring, the trees are all green, it's lovely. I just want to just bliss out and drive in this lovely environment and not be on the freeway to get to where I want to go to.
The lambs are out, the baby
Yeah.
goats are out, right? The flowers are out. I would rather take the blue highways than I-5 any day.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm a point A to point B.
Well, it depends. If I have to be someplace, yes. But if I have the option and it's there, then I like to take a side route now and again.
So if anyone else has anything they want to contribute to this conversation, something you want to share, something you want to ask, please do that. You don't have to like raise your hand or anything. You can just unmute and share. That's fine.
Well, I want to thank you guys because you're really making me think about myself. And I don't mean that in a selfish way, but because I have never been able to go deeply into anything. I start studying something and I'm just not, it just doesn't work for me. And I don't really know why. I know I'm intelligent and all that other stuff. You know, I have what I should be able to do. But I've been, you know, I checked out all the churches when I was young. And the only one I liked was the Unitarian, you know, because they did such good work in the community. But I didn't think I needed it because, you know, I didn't really believe in Jesus Christ. And, you know, and I didn't really believe in God, any kind of creator or spirit, because I thought if there was, they would have killed my mother instead of my father. That's it. That's how I felt. I lived with that I lived that way for years. But at the same time, I was obviously searching, you know, and I guess the closest thing I came to was Tai Chi and Taoism. And the reason I like Taoism because it made you responsible for your actions. And I love Tai Chi because it gave me a connection that even when everything was crazy around me, which was true for many years, it gave me a center. And I felt the connection. I just didn't think about any of these things. I didn't analyze them, you know. But I haven't found, you know, a system that I want to just dedicate my life to. But I do now believe in so many other spirits, entities, etc., that I had no idea and had total skepticism about. And Kai's class helped me with a lot of that. Yeah, so it's like, oh my God, really? It's right there. So I don't know. It's not a question. It's just a process that you're making me go through by being here, and I appreciate it. So thank you. Yeah.
Yes, I'll just pop in as a different spirits and entities, just as there are multiple cultures, ethnic groups, and humans. That's just humans. So many different kinds of birds and fish and mammals. That also pertains to the spirit world. Many nations I have visited and conversed with several different groups, let's say.
I love that there's so many differences. That's one thing. I've never been able to travel, but I always try to learn a few words in whoever's language I'm talking to because it leads me into a little tiny picture of a culture and the person sharing that because I've shown respect for their culture. You know, so that's my little inroad into all the different cultures, that and music, you know. Music has definitely grabbed me there.
Well, playing music can certainly be an equivalent, a path of a spiritual practice.
I don't play. I just listen.
But you witness
Yes.
and you know,
dance.
hear the products, or you watch people play, right? Or you hear that there is this energetic event that's happening, all of our energy fields literally expand and commingle. So this is when we're talking about
Yeah.
alignment, right? And so this is why I love jazz or improvisation, any music from India. You know, it is the co-mingling of a consciousness. It's like, okay, here comes Alethea's solo, and then we get back to the song, and now it's Kai's time to do her solo, right? And but it's all coagulated together because where
Yes.
everybody is connected into the greater source.
Yes, and that's
Even with
probably
even with the
my
music, yeah,
closest feeling of being with Source is when musicians are actually so close together in their souls
yeah,
that you they have to they're just driven, and they're bringing out all this wonderful energy. They can't help it.
yes,
It's
yes.
just they put in the time.
Dancers,
They put in the
artists,
time to learn their instrument, but then they
mhm,
just took off, and that, yeah. So
becomes that
I can
channel.
definitely understand that part.
Yeah.
Maria,
Wait,
did you
is
want to
this
say
your new
something?
house? Is this your new house?
Yeah, and I'm going outside. I've been told to come outside. It's really sunny, and
Lovely.
I just got a prompt to look at a mountain, so I'm coming out. Someone else turned on their video, and I'm wondering if they wanted to share something about this.
Maria.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I had a strange experience in the wee hours of this morning. My husband left for work about 5-ish, and I was settling back to sleep. And I turned on my side, and as I was falling back to sleep, in that little weird liminal space between wake and sleep, I felt, and I actually saw, and this was the first time I've actually seen something come in from behind me, just something very powerful. And I guess because I was so exhausted, it caught me off guard. But it looked like a blue plasma wave, like a light blue plasma wave with gold interspersed to it. But it caught me in, and I was just like, no, 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 whatever this is, just big old no. And I called in the archangels to help protect me. Um, but I have no idea what that was that I experienced because I never seen anything like that before. But it came from my back and it was weird. It was like, even though it came from the back, I was able to see it
This
through the back of my head. I don't know. Just a weird experience.
So I had a question for you, Maria, is do you recall a time or when you had asked assistance from your helping spirits, your helper spirits? Do you remember a time, even if it was just a little blip of a thought? Gee, I need some help
I
with this or whatever.
I've I'm caught in a weird loop right now and I recognize it for what it is, but I've been asking for help for quite a long time. And I don't know if I'm treading water because it's a lesson I need to learn to get myself out of, or that there's so much noise going on around me that I can't hear, despite me trying to listen, because my house is quiet for the most part.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
try to keep things quiet because my mind can be so noisy sometimes.
Yes. Sometimes we don't realize that we're asking for help, or when the help comes, it may not be in the presentation that we expect it to come. And when we're in this liminal space, we're quiet, our mind is quiet, our body's quiet, is usually the time where we're most receptive, especially if you're feeling something hovering around you from the back of you. Um, there might be a helping presence coming to connect with you. You can talk directly to it and discern if it is a ally, and if it is, you can negotiate your relationship with them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
I was
you.
also just thinking your practice is light language and what you experienced is light.
Ah,
Mhm.
yeah, I hadn't thought about that. In fact, I had pretty much um, blocked that whole experience out until Terry mentioned entities, and I'm here. Oh, yeah, I had that weird thing that happened this morning. Um, so I am so
I don't,
sorry, baby.
my sense of it is that it wasn't negative, that it was actually there to kind of help you. And it was in that, while you were in that liminal space, that you could actually see it.
Mhm.
Even though, I mean, I still feel like it's hanging around you. It's not gone per se. Um, so I think if you were ready to kind of communicate with it and just be like, what do you want? Or why are you here? Or how can you help me? Or that kind of thing, that you would be able to kind of reconnect with it. But it doesn't feel negative in any way to me.
Mm-mm. No,
Okay,
it
thank
feels
you.
like a welcome wagon.
I
Yeah,
love that too.
yeah, almost
Okay.
like a courier that shows up with a message. Um,
Mhm.
and because it came from behind it, to me, it feels like lean into it. You just have a tendency to like get, if you'll pardon the expression, mental with your energetic experiences, and your mind wants to figure out every last detail, and then you
Yeah.
start in that direction, and then you even lose the essence of whatever it was because you're trying to like figure it out and find a place for it, and this is what this must be. It feels to me like it makes you very uncomfortable to have an experience that you can't put in a box.
Mhm.
I think it's a survival instinct to keep myself safe
Hmm.
and dealing with the unknown.
Hmm.
Yeah, so how
Yeah.
can you have yourself be less scared in these contexts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're calling it in. So you're at some point, you're going to have to like go in and deal with that fear about not feeling safe, or not that you're not protected, or that you've lost control. Because all the stuff that we've been talking about is basically surrender and
Yep.
having faith when you surrender. Um, when I want to manifest something, I kind of put the general framework out there, and then I'm like, you guys do your thing because you're going to manifest something way better than what this little bean in here can come up with, because this is a limited construct that I'm functioning in. Um, so that's, and to me, when I see, when you look within, it's like there's all this darkness, and it's like I don't want to go step into that and look at that, what the hell that's all about. I mean, I sense you probably have some knowledge where it came from, but there's great trepidation, which then sends that spike for you about when it's like I need to go in and like do this, and then how am I going to do this, and I'm afraid, and it's legit. I mean, it's legit to have fear. um so it's like you're 99% committed. And you can't live on a fence. It's not very comfortable.
Yeah.
Well, I think
Yeah.
maybe the important question to ask yourself at this point is, I know what I have to do and it feels unsafe. Like, what do I need to make it feel safe so that I can do this and feel safe? Like, what do I need? And does that mean like I need the angels walking with me the entire time? Ask them. Do I need my ancestors with me? Ask them. Like, whatever it is you think would make that task easier for you, ask for it. Because obviously it's something that has to be done. Because at some point we all have to look at whatever we got going on inside, or we don't progress. That's the consequence of not looking at your own stuff, is you don't progress. You stall. And if you're okay where you are, then that's fine. But if you want to move forward and you want to keep developing your gifts, or perhaps even get new gifts. Like I know somebody who's like, I'm having trouble remote viewing. I'm like, you got to keep practicing. There's no answer for that. So if you want to develop and keep going and see how far you can go with what you have, like what gifts emerge, you have to, it's like the closet. You can't put any more clothes in there until you take the old stuff out.
Right.
And if
Right.
it's frightening to you to do that, what do I need to be with me while I do this so that I can do it safely or feel safe while I'm doing it and still get it done?
What context change do we need? Whether it's something with
Yeah,
us or something to go away or whatever it is.
I think it was just the way it came about because it felt more like an ambush than an easing in, if that makes sense. It was just like whoosh, all of a sudden, as opposed to a tap on the shoulder. Hey,
Yeah.
hey.
Well,
Well,
be-
that's the other thing you're gonna have to get used to is that sometimes things don't come to us in like the smooth ways, right? They come to us how they come to us, and it's up to us how we deal with it.
I think it
That's
was before.
our We have to be flexible.
I think it was before we got on the recording. We were talking a bit about birth patterns, and so Maria, it might be helpful to look at your birth patterns and how change happened for you in utero and like in your early life, and look at what timing has been. Is this really different? Is this similar to other things? It might explain some of why you're uncomfortable with some things, some aspects of that timing and the shift.
How do you do that?
I do well. Gosh, so my mother had died when I first started looking at these things. However, I remember stories that she used
Wow.
to tell. So I asked my father, and I remember the stories and let myself remember, and I put pieces together. And like, so I know I was 2 weeks late and I was induced. And so I've had a tendency in so much of my life to procrastinate and wait. And then right before you were talking about like what you did for class, and then a bunch of stuff happens and I make it happen. Like it's not perfect. I'm not like not perfect, but a bunch of stuff happens and it's good enough and I get it done. And so it's up to me to shift that timing. And so part of it for me is facing the birth patterns and how I've been repeating those and create new ways that I feel safe to do it differently.
You also end up trusting yourself. You have to trust yourself
Mm-hmm.
because anything out here is not going to matter. It's in here. And we don't get a lot of support in our Western culture about that. We get programmed in utero, and once we even pop out, because we have no way to stop anything, that everything's outside of us. And we are not encouraged to go within and build our own internal relationship with self and with spirit. And then we have this whole thing about competition, and like we were just talking about being in high school, about trying to fit in and do whatever so that we're part of the herd.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's in the past that'd be dangerous because you could be cast out and then you get to go be, puppy chow out there on the plains. So we have to learn. That's part of this whole process is I heard it or I felt it. Yes, that was real. I didn't make it up. That was real. And you have to be able to trust your experience within your own self. And that's what part of this whole process is too. Especially for anybody that's especially on the beginning of opening and learning more about themselves. Um, that's a huge initiation, is letting go and trusting ourselves. And at the same time, you're also trusting the divine because that's where we came from.
I say it's at the beginning and any time that we're like we've stalled in some way and there's a new stage to get to.
Right,
Like these are the
right.
things.
Nothing's static. It's the only constant in the universe, as they say, is change. So we go through a lot of little deaths and a lot of transformations. But the more we trust ourselves, the more we can even observe our own transformation and not get freaked out about it or like afraid of what's going to happen next. It's like, no, I know that I'm part of all this. And I know that, at least I know that everything's for my highest good. It might suck in the moment, but I know it's all unfolding for my highest good. And I might not ever understand what all that was and why it turned out like that, but I already know that it's all for my highest good.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm aware too that someone wants to ask a personal question. So
Okay.
it might be good if we transition to that.
Okay.
That person is ready. And did you want to come up on stage? Do you want to ask from your chair? What did you want to do?
Me?
Yeah, you. What do you want to do?
I'll just stay where I am.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
What do you want?
It's I have committed to a new program of wellness with the goal of, can you hear me? I see Crystal
Mhm.
going.
Yeah, you're just a little faint. If you could just speak up a little more.
Okay, I committed to both money and my insides to a program that goes over 6 months to get microbiome back together and to lose the fat that I have been emotionally unable to lose for 25 years. I know why I got it, and I need to get rid of it because it is now impacting my health, and I need to continue to be in good health. So the question is, will this program be for my highest good?
Is there another way you want to ask that that's not a yes no question
Maybe
also?
um, another, I don't know. I would say it will completion of this program. How's
Well,
that?
well, and I'd say I'm just giving a general example and see what arises for you. Instead of asking is this good or bad kind of thing, there can be a like, what do I need to know? Or you may have a sense of something. So what do you need to know about the thing that you have a sense of already? Or
Well, that was a good one. What do I need to know to determine this?
and again, it
Whether
might not
this,
be to determine whether it's a yes or a no, but like how to go through this, how to engage this. As I'm trying to get you out of a yes no, there might be something important for you generally about yes no
uh-huh.
stuff too, like either or yes no stuff.
Hmm. I'm not sure how to ask that, but I get what you're getting at, but there's nothing
So
coming.
if you're going to do this, then you're the one in charge of the outcome.
Mhm.
And again, that's that whole thing about commitment. You can't be 99% committed. You have to be all in. And then that comes back to trusting ourselves. So it's kind of like, okay, what outcome do I want from this decision I've made, this thing that I'm committing to? And then every choice you make regarding that, you can ask yourself, is this getting me closer to what I want to achieve from this? Or is it pushing me over away? What's coming up for me where I'm feeling uncomfortable? Um, because if you're saying this is emotional fat that you're carrying, then you've got some emotional stuff to purge from your body. So you're going to have body stuff happening as well. So what's going to happen in support of you going through a physical transformation? Maybe you need to also commit to massage while you're going through this, or craniosacral work while you're going through this. I mean, sometimes we just want something to solve our problem and not recognize that we have to be in charge of what it's going to be anyways. And
Well,
sometimes we don't
yes.
know where this path is going to take us, but we continue to choose actions or decisions that support where we're on our way to find out about.
Okay, well, I can just be blunt.
Yeah.
I felt it is just as I did for Kai's um, uh, guided class. I felt it is time and that it's time now for
Uh-huh.
me to make this change. I've
Uh-huh.
tried every way I know of to get myself to do it myself,
Mhm.
and I haven't succeeded. So it feels urgent in that sense, but I didn't expect it to happen overnight. I just was not given the practitioner laid out everything in a way that sounded like, yeah, it's going to be difficult, but we got guides, we got support, and it's a whole big program. But it's going to cost me 3 times as much as originally I was told it would. So that hangs over me because it's going to be a huge commitment to me financially.
Is that
And
a red flag then? I mean, that's something that's popping up while you're trying to make this choice. Is that a red flag? Is that something you need to look at?
well, I look at the way that she introduced the program.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I wasn't sure if I was ready. But when I went back to for the second time to discuss it in more detail, I was sure that it sounded like it had everything I needed. And is all I had to do is my part, which is hard
Okay.
enough, you know.
Well, and I
So,
think
but go ahead. Yeah.
that's the that's the point right there. That are you willing to do your part?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter how much money you spend or whatever. It's like if you don't commit to that. And so what I would say is, because yeah, Laurel, put it in the chat about how you said
Oh,
previously, like a lot of things that you went through, like you get to a certain point and you would kind of abandon it, right? And usually when that comes up, it's because we've hit a spot that's like super, super uncomfortable. And we hate to be uncomfortable. Like that is like the human condition. Like we are not, we don't necessarily drawn to good things. We are just trying to like move away from discomfort, right?
but yes, I am looking for reasons to not complete it
Right.
because it's
And
and
so that,
they've given me good ones by not being there when I was asking for support.
yeah,
And
see,
I'm looking at myself saying, well, and the practitioner even said to me, this is your journey. You have to make the effort. You have to look this up. You have to, we give
right.
you
So
this
based
information.
on the fact that it's costing you 3 times what you thought it was going to, and you know that you have this tendency to abandon things, like, is that really worth your time? Because I feel like, is this for your higher good? I think something like this to get you moving forward in terms of your health, yes, that is definitely to your benefit. Will you follow through on it? I'm not sure. So because of that, and because of what it's going to ultimately cost you money wise, I don't know if this is a good investment for you. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying maybe this particular thing isn't the right program for you. I mean, I think you need something, but it may not necessarily be this thing, if that makes sense.
Yes. I mean, and
And
that's what I've looked at.
this thing could be the catalyst to make you look at how it serves you to abandon and not see it to the end. If that's an old pattern for you, then this is prompting that this is the time to look at it. I mean, if you take that pattern apart, that's going to serve you potentially as much as spending this money and trying to do this course. So looking at that thing about not being able to complete and
Well, it's
having,
pretty interesting because now that you guys are saying this to me, I'm like, no, I want to finish it. I need to do it. So,
yeah,
And I would,
and I need to just let go and trust myself. What I see is coming, despite the fact that everyone in there is just not perfect enough to help me properly.
and it might be you need to rebel. So you need to like figure out what you can rebel against so that you can get where you want to go,
I
like
have
so.
done a little bit of that in a positive way,
But
you
so
know,
I'd
and
also
they
look at,
have been. Yeah, go ahead.
I just say I keep deepening and looking at the why. So like one thing you said was that to lose the fat of the last 25 years. So that could be a goal, but like why that goal? Why? What would that get you? So what is the real motivation under here?
Better
And I guess
health.
yeah, so it has something about health and it has something about the way you feel as you live or living longer or like find out what your why is and focus on your why because that's the thing that will pull you somewhere, not
Well,
some goal that's a strategy.
Well, that's true because I want to thrive. I don't want to just live. And of
but
course, I always have the thing in the back of my mind that so far, anyway, I'm trying not to make it permanent
but
with my mindset, is that so far, I will have to be able to work my entire rest of my life because I don't have money to retire. This could change, so I'm trying to open the door for that instead of just saying that's the way it is, so that's part of it. So, um, I worked hard to get out of debt, and I got out of debt last year. And if I continue to do what I am doing job wise and it holds up, I will get through this and I will end up with no debt soon afterwards. So, there's a lot of ifs, and I like to know everything ahead of time. And
That's
it's
just it. You can't.
Yeah.
That's how that works. You just can't.
And
Yeah.
that's where the trust and the faith comes in.
And
It's
Alethea,
like,
if you want to say something, just jump in with all of us
I
Yeah.
too.
do. I will jump in. Terry, I know this story. I know this story like the back of my hand. So I have a background in transpersonal psychology. So it is our conditioned self, the one that wants to be in the driver's seat, that is always saying, I don't know. I don't think this is for me. What if I don't finish? What if it's too much? What if? Because we're fretting over what we did in the past and then worried about the future. And it's all based on fear, right? And so as soon as you say, this little scared part of me, if we bring in your wise, loving adult component of your authentic self, you can take care of this scared younger part of you and say, I'm going to make the decision now. We are taking care of our body. We are going to work through the emotional whatevers that has brought us to this place. It's your younger self wanting to be nurtured. And that's what Laureli had started to touch on. Your wise, loving adult is the one that brought you to this Q&A. She is the one that is inquiring and possibly signing up for a program. But you also, so even just thinking about it gets you in that process of touching into your authentic self and why now, why this is important to do this. And to have a coach. Again, it's like I just got back from a week-long retreat. I have teachers, we have practices. If I just spent a week daydreaming, I wouldn't get done. I wouldn't get as deep experiences and removal of blocks and emotional stuff if I didn't have a structure of some kind. So when you work with a coach, she is going to help you to take care of your scared younger part of you and connect into your wise, loving adult to help you continue on your quest and your commitment. So surrender doesn't mean giving up. Surrender means allowing yourself to receive. That's the key. Allowing yourself to receive, removing my blocks.
I have been
I know.
summoning
Yeah.
my higher self
Yes.
To talk to my lower self
Yes.
and help negotiate
Yes.
going through this change. But the
Yeah.
only trouble is this time my mental self is partly in the way because of those issues.
Yes, right. And that's part of our and so our
You know.
conditioning is any, family of origin stuff, beliefs, the culture scape, all of that. Any little thought that's doubtful, based on fear, based on judgment, that's your conditioned self. I could go on and about it, but I won't. But I'm
Thank you.
excited for your transformation, Terry. Whether you sign up for this program or another
I already
program.
did.
Okay.
I'm a week into it.
oh,
So,
Super.
yeah.
That's awesome.
I haven't had sugar for 5 days.
Oh, well, yeah, you're feeling stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So stuff will come up. This is the time when it comes up. Consider it as like spiritual pus,
Oh God, that's
right? Like an infection, right? It's the old.
That's not fair because
don't like
I've
it.
had a sty in my eye for a week too. Talk about
Yes,
pus
honey. Yes,
infection.
yes,
God.
yes.
You know?
Your perception. It's all symbolic. It's all
It's my
metaphysical.
good eye too.
It's all related.
Thank you. No, you have no idea. Well, maybe you do. Now, how
Yeah,
much
so
it
just,
helped me.
long story short, Terry, it's like stick with it.
Yep.
Since you've already paid for it, you got to see it through when it gets uncomfortable, when it gets like, I hate this and I don't want to do it anymore. Understand that this is what you committed to, and that at some point you will be on the other side of it. And you just need to like be okay with being uncomfortable with the process.
Yeah,
Because it's a process and it's not
Yep.
an overnight thing, and you just got to go through it, warts and all kind of thing. and you will be in a much better place when it's done.
Yeah.
Because you will have experienced something, and you know, when you go through things that make you uncomfortable, like you really do come out stronger at the end because you're like, yeah, I've seen where that
You
goes
know
and I know
that.
how it's going to work.
Yes.
So it's like
Thank you.
it but you know, that's the thing. It's like most of the time, things that we value are things we worked for.
Yeah.
And this is during this process, you're going to work for it. And when you do get closer to what you want or even achieve what you want, then it will be something that you value
Thank you.
and it will be an accomplishment. It's not just,
Yes.
you know, something that,
That's
well,
the
you know,
goal because
yeah,
that will
it will be
lead
something
to
that
me
you
being
have
able
obtained. It's a
to do other things.
tangible outcome.
Yes.
And I would
Thank you.
highly encourage you to journal every day.
Mm-hmm.
And what's happening to me today? What am I noticing
Well,
today? What am
we
I uncomfortable with today? You're going to show me your notepad, I hope. There you go.
Well, and then the other things too is just like think about like did any, because when you release old emotions and things like that, like you'll get like memories and images and visions and like, oh, I hadn't thought about that in years kind of stuff. Like write all that stuff down because you're literally like expelling the energy of that from your body.
Mhm.
So
It's
write all that stuff down.
yeah. We store this stuff in our bodies.
Yes.
This is where our aches and pains are. Mine, I still have the residual impression of some old grief that I carried on behalf of my mom and dad, because my grandfather was ill and dying just before I was born. So I realized what the grief was, but it's still partially stuck in my lower back. So I have like an ongoing lower back thing, but it's like, okay, thank you. I just have, whenever it acts up, I go, thank you. I have some more work to do. And I bless it. I talk to it. I say, thank you
Oh
for
my
that
God, I have a
reminder.
lot of work to do.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
even got dizzy. I even got vertigo again with the crystals in the ears. And I'm like, I have two jobs. I can't be dizzy walking around everywhere.
Yeah,
But
just
I have,
take your time with it. Take your
Yeah.
time with it. No one's expecting miracles. Just take your time.
We want to hear your adventures in next time we have one of these talks.
well, I'll be doing a Costco job starting Thursday. I'll be out of town while I'm making these dietary changes. I'll be eating
It'll
hardly
be good.
anything except meat and veggies and fruit by the
You'll love
time I
it.
get back.
It'll be good. It'll be really good.
Thank you. I don't
We
want to
look
take up
forward
more of
to
your time.
hearing of your results.
And just if you have a good coach, your coach is working with you in the ways that Alethea was mentioning, and also know that every body is different. And so it could be that there's some slight modification of the standard plan that's going to be a better fit for you. So,
I
staying with
have,
the overall
yeah.
intention
Well,
of the plan.
the goal of the program is for me to end up being totally independent to be able to maintain this. That is one of the stated goals of the program. So I think they're giving me a bad time because I'm not taking as much responsibility while at the same time I don't like being controlled. so,
That's your conditioned self, Terry.
so
The one that
yes,
wants
thank
to
you.
be in charge.
Really, I'm releasing you from this question now. I
Okay,
thank you so
good,
much.
good.
So Terry, just is there anything you want to say of how you feel about the program that you've chosen now?
This is that I'm already in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what they're doing makes sense to me. What I know of it, and the way they're doing it because they eliminate things each week. You eliminate some things. They give you choices of things you can still eat or drink. And when I've said, well, when I'm at Costco, I can't give up caffeine, which is next week right when I start, because I have found in the last 2 years since I worked for this company that there's nothing else except for a product that I now can't drink because it has a little bit of sugar in it that will keep me alert for 12 hours for 6 12-hour shifts. So
A lot.
she's basically, I was told, well, just try to drink less, So for now, so
Yeah.
some of the answers are very reasonable. It's like I probably made a bigger deal out of them than I should. It made everybody irritated.
And I want you to
Yeah.
remember back to the story that you told earlier too about how when you had something due, you'd go to the library and read all the stuff, and then you'd get like an A or an A plus, and it took almost no work. So just in loving yourself, right? Maybe you can get an A or an A plus, and it's very little work.
Thank you. Does anybody else have questions? I like to hear people's stories.
Yes, if anyone else has anything they want to share or ask about today, now is the time. People have been more quiet in the background today.
Yep. Questions, comments, anything. Anything you want to put out there in regards to metaphysics or spiritual practices or anything like that, we're open.
Well, here's a real simple one. I went to a pendulum class. That wasn't a MeWe? I don't know what that was. Someplace
Yeah,
I was. Was that?
we
Oh,
had
it
one
was the
recently. Yeah.
Ferndale one. Yes,
Mhm.
and I got a pendulum, or it's really it's still a quartz, not quartz, but it's still an obelisk kind of thing on a chain, and it's tiger eye. Is that good or bad, or does it mean anything?
It works.
Is there any significance to that particular, you know?
Probably like all things, find the thing that fits for you, that feels really good energetically for you, that feels easy for you. You feel connected to yourself, like all those things. So this one may be that, and there may be others that are even a better fit.
Yeah, maybe the one
Well,
I
I mean,
already had
you
already
can
was.
look up what tiger's eye stands for, what it does, and all that, what its characteristics are. But I mean, you can use any stone as a pendulum or anything as a pendulum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody and we are talking about like, you can turn a paperclip and a piece and a string into a pendulum. So, um, if it has any significance to you, then you would need to look up the characteristics of the stone and figure out like why you chose that particular thing or it chose you. So,
Well, it was because she had some hanging there, said for us to come and pick what we wanted, and this young lady came up and took the one I wanted. She ran up and took it. It was a purple stone of some kind, of purple or dark blue. And I said nothing. And I'm like, I'm not attracted to any of those. And normally I wouldn't like brownish. And I said, but that seems like that's a better one. And I got some interesting answers in the practice. And interestingly, she couldn't get any answers from hers. She could also, I don't know if she has mine or, I
no,
was just curious.
you
Yeah.
got what you were supposed to get. She got what she was supposed to get. When people do things like that, like pendulums are one of those tools that you need to choose based upon like your energy draw toward your resonance toward it.
Mm-hmm.
People who grab things because it's pretty, that doesn't mean that it resonates with them, and that's why they
Right.
don't work.
Yeah. That's
So
what I figure. But
so even
yeah.
if it wasn't, even if you were able to get it, I mean, you know what I mean? Like it might have worked for you because you did like it, but again, like the tiger's eye drew was what resonated with you. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with what you got. I mean, it's like tiger's eyes can be pretty powerful in and of themselves. So,
Right.
don't get put off by that.
We had
Well,
another guest that was dangling a pendulum, wanted to share, and then I had Alina come back on because one of her specialties are crystals, and so she could share a little about tiger's eye
oh,
when
okay.
but if there's something else, Kai, you want to say, go ahead.
Yeah, Angie, what do you want to say?
I was just
Yeah.
saying, mine's a tiger eye. My cousin gave that to me like 10 years ago.
Oh,
And I kind of, I have another one that's a crystal quartz, but this one is like attuned to me
Mm,
because I used it so often. It's like me. And then I use like the quartz crystal for like, healing and just to kind of compare answers. But I also
oh,
associate tiger's eye with like my solar plexus chakra, so it makes sense that this is like a tune for me specifically. I
huh.
just wanted to share that.
Thank you. That's very helpful. Yeah, because I have another one that is a quartz crystal with a little amethyst that somebody gave me just before I joined Kai's class, and it seems to work, be very close to me. So I guess maybe I should compare them and see if there's something
Yeah.
else I can learn.
When I got my first pendulum, it was funny because people were like, "Oh, you should get an amethyst. You could get tiger's eye or something like that." When I picked up the pendulums that were made out of crystal, none of them would move.
Oh, wow.
And then I grabbed one that was sterling silver, and that thing practically flew out of my hand. I'm like, okay, I guess this one's mine. I mean, since then I can use just about anything, but right at the beginning, and this is when when I was really starting to get into the tools and stuff, it's like the only one that worked for me was sterling silver. And I still have it.
Cool.
Well, Alina, did you want to share anything about the crystals you jumped on? You're muted. Yeah, go ahead.
So the tiger's eye, when it comes to the pendulum, I have a pendulum with tiger's eye. I barely ever use it, but that's mostly because I use tiger's eye for other purposes, not so much for the sensitivity or for divination or anything like that. Tiger's eye for me is a very strong crystal. It has very high protective qualities, and it also increases your focus and concentration. It's great for like taking exams, but because it's so intense and because it's so strong, if you use it for a long period of times, you will start getting headaches simply because your mental activity is like so enhanced by it, and you're constantly on this high roll, mental high roll. And the only pendulum that I found working for me was, I don't even remember if it has any crystals in it. I think it has some like decorative something on it, and it's also some metal. I think it's copper. And that's the one that reacted to my questions when I initially tested it, because with the pendulum, for me, it was like, show me the yes, show me the no. Okay, is my name Bob? All right, is my name Alina? So I was asking questions to which I know the answers to see if, okay, so it showed me yes and no, and now give me the yes and give me the no so I can see how you operate. I also do have a pendulum with amethyst. I think it was one of the gifts that I got together with some purchase. And I'm an odd man out. I find amethyst a bit boring. Okay. I also, I like my glass of wine at night, and amethyst is a sobriety stone.
Really?
So, okay, true story. I was at the bar and I really wanted a cocktail. And I was wearing amethyst bracelet and I completely forgot that I did. It was just on. And so I look at the barman, and he's a service person, and I'm trying to be really nice. So I smile and I make eye contact, like, "Hi, I'm here. If you don't mind coming over to me to take my order." Nothing. Blank stare. I don't exist. It's the first time and only probably time I left the bar sober. Until I Okay. Until I realized, oh, I'm wearing an amethyst bracelet. Okay, that makes sense. That's not the barman. Okay.
Oh, that's a great story.
Yeah, my mom's a
But it's a
teetotaler
great
and did
stone to,
amethyst. So yeah, that's
to
funny.
exercise any kind of, yeah, any self-control you can exercise with amethyst. It doesn't have to be drinking necessarily. It's been labeled a sobriety stone because the name amethyst comes from an ancient legend, but it can be used for any other self-control, whether it's anger or overeating, emotional eating, or overworking.
So Carrie, it's your other
Like a
question. That's what I'm thinking
workaholic,
of. The
you know.
amethyst. It might be time to wear
Uh,
some amethyst or put it in your pocket.
and
I've
you
always,
never know.
yeah.
Put the amethyst cluster in the kitchen on the table if you don't want people to get wasted at your party.
Well, there's no
That,
parties
that's
here
that's the trick for you right there.
or table for
As
that
boring
matter.
as I find it,
Interesting.
you see how much entertainment it brings.
Sounds good.
Um, so yeah, that's one thing. I barely ever wear it because, like I said, I find it a bit boring energetically on me. But also, I know that a lot of people find it beneficial. The
I've always
legend
found it
behind
calming.
the legend behind the name of amethyst is the god of wine, Bacchus, was in love with the woman whose name was Amethysta, and he got so mad that she turned him down that he turned her into a stone. And then he realized what he did, and then he started pouring wine over her, muttering, "Wine fixes everything." He just started pouring that dark grape wine on her. It didn't bring her back to life, but it gave her that purple color.
Okay. I love
And the
it.
name, and the stone carries her name, amethyst.
Oh, thank you so much. This is wonderful.
So hopefully that helps. Again, I don't work with pendulums much, but I think Kai is onto something when she said that the pendulum that worked was the metal one and not the stone one necessarily, because the crystal will react to your natural vibration, and it may be completely out of whack for you.
Well, I did find that the tiger eye one just felt more intense, almost like it was a heavier stone, even though it's about the same size as the other one I have. It just,
Yeah.
I just, I didn't feel bad. I just was curious because it just seemed like something I wouldn't normally pick. But apparently it has some use.
So apparently you were picking things up about the
And
intensity. That's
I
what
have
Alina was
quite a
talking
few
about.
little, I have quite a few little amethyst stones, but I have lost my whole box that has all those things in it. So the decluttering is going to have to come eventually. I've looked everywhere it should be. Anyway,
Mhm.
thanks, you guys. Gave me too much attention.
Thanks, Alina, for jumping back
So,
on. I knew you'd have something to share about this. All right. Well, anything else we want to talk about here before we finish up?
No, I think that was a good one.
Was.
We covered a lot of different things. Hopefully people got something out of it from all the different things that we talked about, different things to think about.
Yeah, this is great. If anyone has any last questions, now's your chance. Questions or comments? It's time.
I have one more comment if we're going to close.
Yeah, and then we'll have a chance to share our contact info again. Go ahead, Alethea.
Thank you, first of all, for inviting me and having these conversations. It is things like this that helps us to understand that we're not alone, that there's actually more people that are asking these questions, that are curious, that are wondering about the same things. And so it helps us to not feel alone. It also helps us to create connections and build and expand a community, because we are rebuilding our culture as simultaneously as the one that we've been most familiar with is disintegrating because it needs to in certain ways. And we're simultaneously building a new culture, right? A new consciousness. So the more we have these and attend a metaphysical fair that Laureli is putting together, read books, talk to people. This is how we dream our new reality into manifestation. So I'm just saying, keep doing your work, everybody.
Yeah, this is read Crystal's book, read Kai's books, join Crystal's group, take one of Kai's classes. Alethea, what are some of the different things that you offer?
What do I offer? I have a signature program called the Practical Mystic. So all of the things that I talked about, the shamanic energy practices from the Andes and North American traditions and Peruvian um, jungle traditions, mixing that shamanic plus other mystical practices from Sufism, Buddhism, and others together so you can have an interspiritual experience connected and experiencing the divine and to have mysticism in your life every day. So that's my goal, is to empower as many people as possible to have a mystical aspect to their daily life.
And you want to say, how can people contact you? They want to learn more. And
Right. Well, aletheadevi@gmail.com, or you can go look at my website, which is revealedheart.com. I also have a mystery school, Orenda Mystery School, and its website right now is in process creation. But my signature programs are a year long and broken up into 4-month parts. So level 1, 2, and 3 in the Practical Mystic. And so 971-266-9003, you can call me or text or email me. And Laureli will put my contact in the
I did in the
follow-up.
chat. Yeah,
Oh,
it's in the chat too. Yeah, great.
yes, good. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Alethea. Chris
You're
or
so
Kai,
welcome.
you want to
That was
share?
great.
No.
Great talk.
Yeah, it's nice meeting you, Alethea.
Yes, Alethea is more in the Portland area. So for those of you that don't go to the fairs in Oregon, you might not have met Alethea before. Yeah. Crystal or Kai, you want to share more about who you are and what you do and how people can reach you?
Sure. I'm Crystal Novak. And as I mentioned when we first started, I'm a psychic. I also am a conscious channel. I do energy work. Source talks to me from all different places. That's why the name of my website is iknowstuff.me. Because that's the easiest way to explain it, is I just know stuff. Um, and then my email is crystal@iknowstuff.me. Additionally, I published a book in January that's called Remembering Who You Are,
Nice.
which is about spirit having a human experience and how being in this vehicle influences the way we perceive the world, and how do you get back in touch with the spiritual side, and how do you align those parts to have a deeper life experience while we're here. And in that process of the book, we cover a lot of information about how we got programmed, the 4 bodies, how to look at doing belief work, how to clear false beliefs, how to do shadow work, learning about Hermetic doctrine, which is how energy expresses, which in turn, if you sifted it all down, it all comes back to our thoughts. What you think about, whether you're conscious of it or not, influences how you perceive your reality. Change your thoughts, change your reality. Everything's going on in here, and it's just reflected out there. So when you do an internal piece of work, you'll see it reflected in your life. So that's available on Amazon as an ebook or as a paperback.
And you have a group
you're
for learning and you do one-on-one sessions?
Yeah, I do one-on-one sessions. I also have a weekly meditation study group. It's called the Path of Light. We meet every Thursday night at 5 p.m. Pacific time. So if you wanted to sign up for that, there's a way to do that. Well, you could reach out to me and I can give you the information for that. Yeah, lots happening. It's popping.
Great. And Kai.
And so I'm Kai. I'm a Hawaiian Kahuna, which is the Hawaiian version of a shaman. I am an energy healer. My specialty is actually removing negative energy from people, places, and things. My website is handsonfire.buzz, B-U-Z-Z. And, so you can get a hold of me through there. And there's lots of different blog posts on different subjects that if you're interested in different types of things and want to dig into that, there's at least, I think, 2 years worth of blogs in there, and I'm still adding to it. So lots of information to dig through if you're interested in different topics. You can find that on my website. I do one-on-one mentoring. I also do take clients occasionally. And yeah, and I'm always happy to answer just general questions and like, how does this work and all that kind of stuff. So, and yeah, I'm starting to teach classes. One of the classes I just finished was doing shadow work. That was a 6-week course. That was a lot of fun. And I may do it again. I'm not sure when. I also have a book called Shadow Work. That's available on Amazon for anybody who's interested, along with a workbook to go with it. And yeah, I just hope that people really enjoy this conversation, and maybe so much so that they think about joining us next time.
Great. I want to say, and you have books on other things too, like energy shielding or not books, but recording on energy shielding, like a class, and yeah, lots of different things.
Yeah, all that stuff you can get to it from my website.
Great. And I'm Laureli Shimayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader, body psychology coach, matchmaker. I also do all kinds of consulting and coaching. You can find out more about me at intuitiveeyereading.com, where eyes are a window to the soul and your soulmates. And then I also have lots of recordings that I will get together at some point here soon. So you have access to classes on body psychology, classes on my eye readings. They're all available individually, like through me right now, but I'll make those more available soon. I have a book on the 7 talents that I read in people's eyes, help you understand your purpose and understand other people. And I do, one-on-one sessions and run all these MeWe Fairs events. So I'm going to be in the south side of Seattle in Auburn next weekend. We'll be in Portland in the beginning of May. I've got drop-in events where you can connect with me online. I have about 8 of them every month. So drop-in dating coaching, matchmaking, consulting, career advice, like all kinds of different things. I'll just use all my tools with whoever shows up. Those are available on joinmeweonline.com. You can find the listing. You can also go to matchmakingsoulmates.com and find the listing of all those every month. And here at MeWe Fairs, we have practice circles. We have usually 7 or more practice circles a month. These are opportunities to come and practice your gifts so that you gain more confidence, get stronger at whatever you're wanting to offer. Open your intuition if you don't quite know where it is yet. It's an opportunity to connect with the community and to practice on others and get feedback and mentoring. It's an opportunity to mentor others in the community. We're excited to have you join. And all those are listed again at joinmeweonline.com. So thanks everyone so much for being here, being part of creating the conversation together. Thank you so much, Alethea, for being here as our guest, and for Kai and Crystal for sharing these conversations with all of us.
And this is going to be on YouTube, you guys.
If you want to go back and listen to any of this again.
Yeah, there's a MeWe YouTube channel. So,
or share it with others. We'd love for you to do that too. All right. Thank you again.
And having been a person that took Kai's wonderful course, you're going to love it. It's going to help you so much, give you tools that you didn't know you could have, and in a relaxing, engaging environment.
So if people want Kai's class, they got to reach out to her and let her know, so she'll offer it again.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, great. Thanks everyone so much.
All of you. I'd like to be working with all of you, but it's just there's only me. So much of me available. Thank you so much again.
You're so welcome.